Trust in two directions. I had no hope. We never follow instinct. We just don't understand a different situation. We've lost your man. My heart's in limbo. Your heart's in limbo. With everybody else, I think that you should learn to love yourself. The man that you love most, the man that brought you here, he's always in your memory, he's always near. My heart's in limbo. Your heart's in limbo.
Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willie Bragg. I hope everybody's doing well this evening. I know it's Tuesday night. I normally don't live stream on Tuesday night. I was just too tired yesterday to live stream. And I want to apologize. A few days ago when I did, in fact, live stream last week, I had some difficulties with a lot of buffering that was going on, a lot of glitches, and I had a lot of windows that were kind of busy. I think that's what happened. As I was having a lot of issues, and I need to realize that if I'm not careful, that it does kind of slow everything down. So my fault, my dumbass wasn't realizing what I was doing. So, and it would have been a pretty good. Hold on, let me do this. It would have been just kind of a. It would have been a little more professional. So I hope everybody accept my apologies. Anyway, we're going to talk about George Galloway today because George Galloway was being discussed at the moment. But before we do, we're going to go and we're going to play some George Galloway extra bulla style with extra bulla kind of doing an impression of George Galloway. Yes, our pal Warren, Uncle Warren's doing an impression of George Galloway.
George Galloway, the mother of all talk shows. With George Galloway, the world is our classroom, and you're welcome to sit in and join the seminar.
Thank you, Philip. Last week, I sounded different than I normally do. That is because I have been and continue to suffer from a head cold. Hey, if that excuse is good enough for the leader of the free world, it's good enough for old Georgie boy. Also, last week I was defeated in the Rochdale MP elections by Labour toady and human turnip root Paul Waugh by only 1,400 votes. It probably didn't help that the night before the elections, I got pissed drunk and showed my goodies at the Tandle Hill Tavern. Needless to say, I won't be invited back to that establishment without proper adult supervision. But Labour was not done cracking the acorns in my undercarriage. Keir Starmer, CIA, MI5, MOUSE. This haggis is not only a WAF puppet, he's also the lost keyboard player for Echo and the Bunnymen. Legend has it that the band tried to drown him in the Thames, but he was so bloated with pork and a sense of self-importance that he floated to the top, like a chubby hanging about in the kludgy. But fear not, friends, for Moots is still the GOATs, the greatest of all time. Seriously. Yes, I've got the Lagavulin 16-year single malt scotch a-flowing. Gayatri is spinning dope beats on the ones and twos, and your boy George fucking Galloway got the honeys lined up around the block like they were waiting for the new LeBron kicks to drop. Will I be back as a member of Parliament? Assuredly so. In fact, I just got invited back to Parliament only 20 minutes ago. I made my funk the P-Funk. But my days of slapping the space base with Bootsy and the gang are all in the rear view mirror. I was the other George in Parliament, by the way. In the meantime, Moats will continue to fight for the common person by day. I will continue to pursue the Joker as the Scottish Batman. Don't take the shite, Rochdale, you heard?
Yep, that was Extra Bula, Warren, our friend, Uncle Warren, doing an impression of George Galloway. Very good impression, in fact. So I just thought I'd share that with all of y'all. And we're going to get to what we're going to talk about. A couple of days ago, what was it, September 27th? I believe it was September 27th. Yes, at Gatwick Airport. I know Gatwick. I've been to Gatwick Airport when I went to England in 2006. He was detained. George Galloway was detained and asked for questioning, and so we're going to get into that because. So let me go ahead and get that article out, and let's find that article real quick. All right. And this is from the Telegraph. And if I'm correct, I think the Telegraph is a more of a right-wing British paper, for what I can recollect. But anyway, here's what they have to say. George Galloway threatens to sue Met Police. Former MP claims he and his wife were detained for no reason to counter terrorism officers after Russia trip. Because under the Terrorism Act, as you know, he was detained and asked for questioning. They think he's a terrorist. And, anybody knows this podcaster is not a terrorist. If they really think about it and all that. What the hell? I had the article there. And then that popped up. Well, I guess we will not have an article from the Telegraph, but I will get that article of elsewhere. Give me a moment here. Anyway, but as I said, George Galloway will be suing, and I hope he wins. So let me get that. I have to get that article. George Galloway suing police. Damn it. Okay. All right. Come on. On the news. Okay. All right. Let's see. We'll go with GB News. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. I hate it when they do that shit. So I'm not going to go and pay money to go. The article was there earlier. Damn it. So anyway, we're going to have an article to read. So boom, article, here it is. Great Britain News Channel. George Galloway announces legal action against police after being stopped at Gatwick Airport. The Workers' Party leader was flying into UK from Moscow via Dubai. George Galloway is taking legal action against the police and other agencies, claiming that an airport stop breached their human rights. The former MP and his partner, Putri Gatria Pertriwiwi, and I apologize for butchering that name, have launched legal action after they were stopped at Gatwick Airport on Saturday after flying into UK from Moscow via Dubai. At a press conference in Belfast on Monday, Irish solicitor Kevin Winters said they were subjected to a frightening interrogation procedure conducted by armed police officers who proceeded to ask them questions which at times range from sublime to outright ridiculous, including queries about China, Gaza, and Russia. And this is what they do. I'm here in America. They did this shit to Max Blumenthal, for example. So that's where it's coming down to. And I have a lot to say about this in a few moments. He went on analysis of such questionings that there was nothing put to them which could remotely be described as evidence of hostile activity. We can state with confidence that none of the questions posed had anything to do with terrorism, quote unquote. And Mr. Winters criticized the draconian law used to stop Galloway's, under which staying silent can count against you. The stop was a contrived, politically motivated investigation undertaken with the aims of humiliating and undermining the ultimately embarrassing Mr. and Mrs. Galloway, he told journalists. He claimed that there was no lawful bias to stop them, and called them to stop a barely concealed ruse to get their phones and their IT equipment. Mr. Winter said, quote, "Today, we are issuing a pre-action protocol correspondence against the relevant agencies engaged in the operations, which was overseen by the Counterterrorism Policing Southeast," quote unquote. Speaking at a press conference, he said, quote, "There was no interview. None of the questions was specific in any way." Quote, "I was expected to be asked about something I've done. I was not. I expected to ask about something I said. I was not. Something I written. I was not. No specific questions at all were asked beyond generic musings that I now believe were merely a pretext for ceasing the device to go on fishing expedition." So pretty much we know what they're trying to do. I have a lot to say about that in a few moments. A spokesman from the Metropolitan Police on Saturdays said, "We confirmed that on Saturday, September 27, counterterrorism officers at Gatwick Airport stopped a man in his 70s. He's 71, by the way, and his wife in her 40s. She's 41. Under the Schedule 3 of the Counterterrorism and Border Security Act of 2019. Neither of them were arrested, and they were allowed on their way." Mr. Galloway, here's the thing. It was, in my opinion, it was an intimidation tactic. It's basically saying, we got an eye on you. And Julian Assange might be free. But, we're not above finding another Julian Assange, or maybe even collecting a bunch of Julian Assanges. The United States isn't either. Mr. Galloway won the Rochdale seat in a by-election after veteran Labor MP Sir Tony Lloyd died on January 17, 2024, just days after announcing he had incurable form of leukemia. In his victory speech, Mr. Galloway said, "Kistama, this is for Gaza. You have paid and you will pay a high price for the role that you have played in emulating and encouraging and covering the catastrophe presenting going into the occupied Palestine in Gaza Strip." I can't believe I actually did a pretty good impression. Let me know if y'all think I did a good impression of George Galloway or not. At the last year's general election, Mr. Galloway lost his seat with Labor's Paul Wall, winning the Rochdale back with majority of 1,440. Mr. Galloway has been a veteran politician, first entering the comments as a Labour MP for Glasgow Hillhead at the 1987 general election. After being re-elected 3 times, he was eventually expelled from the party under Tony Blair's for comments he made in opposition to the invasion of Iraq. He joined the Respect Party in 2004, and was the leader from 2013 to 2016. Mr. Galloway managed to re-enter Commons in 2005 general election after winning Bethnal Green in Bowell seat. He won in 2012 Bradford West by-election, only to lose it in 2015 general election. And then scroll down a little further. Speaking after the most recent by-election victory, Mr. Galloway said, "I've heard some of the narratives being spun around this election results this evening. Yes, it's true that every Muslim is bitterly angry at Keir Starmer and his misnamed Labour Party. but you would have to be foolish if you do not realize that millions of other citizens of our country are too. Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak are two cheeks of the same backside, and they got well and truly spanked tonight here in Rochdale. Let me say it the way he would say it, and I say this with all the love and respect in the world. Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak are two cheeks of the same backside, and they got well and truly spanked tonight here in Rochdale. So, all right. So, yeah, that's pretty much it there. And again, they're there to go and make an example, and I really do believe that is their intention. Now, do I think that George Galloway is perfect? I mean, do I think he's like 100% based on everything? I have some differences with George Galloway. He's too socially conservative for me on some issues. He's more class reductionist than I am, and I'm known to be a class reductionist. But when it comes to war and when it comes to economic justice, he's there. He is there. And anybody who questions the system on a class analysis basis and questions the abuse of empire, you're going to be signaled out. I do not agree with his socially backwards positions on LGBTQ rights and trans rights because he's kind of reactionary on those issues. Now, I do not think he's like so reactionary that he's the Christian right or the extreme cruelty of the kind of laws that exist in places like Saudi Arabia or what have you. Like that. I don't think he's that level. But, he's certainly not where I'm at on these issues. And so I do have that. I mean, I'm not a cancel culture guy, but I do take issue. And I have a right to, when I look at liberation movements, you just can't pick and choose, and I say that as a socialist. You can prioritize your movements, but you got to be consistently for the liberation of all. But you can prioritize, if being for workers' rights is what gets you going more than anything else, fine. If being for whatever, liberation struggle, if racial justice is the way to go, that's fine. If war and peace, foreign policies where you specialize, that's fine. If environmental justice is where you specialize, that's fine. If feminism is where you specialize or LGBTQ qualities where you specialize, that's fine. But, and I do believe in interconnectionism and all of that. But you got to have at least a little bit of a commitment if you are, any kind of a leftist and all of that. So that's what I wanted to say about that in regard to George Galloway and all. But would I have voted in Rochdale last year in that election? That special election when the Labor MP died, yeah, I would have voted for him. I would have voted for him as a Workers' Party candidate. Not necessarily that I'd be a member of the Workers' Party. That's not exactly where I am ideologically in terms of British politics, but I would have voted for George Galloway. From my perspective, he was indeed needed and everything. So that's pretty much what I have to say in that regard. But I would also add, in my view, that what they want to do, and I really do mean this, that what they really want to do is to, in essence, they want to create they want to make an example out of people, you know. They want to make an example out of a lot of people out there. I mean, you look at the last 4 years under Biden with the whole situation of of the Russian-Ukraine war and all of that. I mean, look what they did. They put a bunch of people on the kill list, not the that specialized list. I hope that I won't get in trouble uttering the word, but you know, the list from the Ukraine. I mean, that's in the Ukraine. The website, that specialized website, that's out there. That they have several Americans on. You know, they have, you know, the Americans that we know, they're up there on there. The you know, they have Scott Ritter, and they got Jimmy Dore, and they got Aaron Mattei, and they got I believe Christopher Hedges. They got Glenn Greenwald, and they got Tulsi Gabbard. Even though I don't agree with Tulsi Gabbard anymore, they got Rand Paul. Even though I don't agree with that Rand Paul or Tucker Carlson or anything, they got these people up there. They got all these people around the world who are on, you know, who are on the on that particular list, and you know, just you want to make sure that you know, you want to make sure you're protected from harm and all of that. How fanatical it is to have a list based on people's position on the Ukraine issue. But what they also want to do, these people, they want to create their next Julian Assange, and that's what it comes down to. They want their next Julian Assange. You know, and if you tell the truth, expect to suffer. Expect to suffer, because they're going after truth tellers, and because that's not to be tolerated at all, not one bit. So in a sense, I think what they're after is their next Julian Assange. They want another Julian Assange. They want dozens of Julian Assange, if you will. And that's what it comes down to. So anyway, I guess that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And hopefully Galloway will persevere from this. And you know, and we can you know, put a stop to any potential furthering of harm that could take place. And let's talk to everybody here on the chat line. We have here, and we have Max RJ. Roger Walters is live on the Katie Halper show. And I think that Roger Walters is mighty bass. So that's very cool. Desert Mantis is here. How are you doing today? Let's see, we have. And we have a few other people here too. I think they're kind of coming in and out. But I wanted to discuss that with you, and I'm going to rest up because tonight's my night off. And I just want to say, I'm sorry. Yeah, I work graveyard shift, so that yawn is a byproduct of me, you know, on my night off, that I have to go sleep in a little while, which is what I intend to do. So if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment anyway. If you disagree with what I have to say, we'll have a conversation. Feel free to share any content I have on this channel. As the First Amendment absolutist, is my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we're in fact the muckrakers of our time. And of course, subscribe to the Willie Bragg Show on all my channels. And until next time, free Palestine, free healthcare for all, free Snowden, and free keep the First Amendment alive, keep the free speech that we've been used to all these years. Until next time, folks. Until next time. Fuck Charlie Kirk. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.